Well, Sage, thank you so much for being here. We are on set at Heritage Strategy Forum in Arlington, Texas, the Dallas metro area, and we're recording a very special episode of Problematic Women. And I'm just so delighted you're here. You've been carrying the torch, really speaking out against cancel culture, stepping away from a huge career in sports broadcasting to speak truth, and we can't thank you enough for doing that, A, and B, being here with us.
Thank you.
So thank you.
It still sounds crazy to think about how crazy the last couple of years have been, but I'm obsessed with the title of your show.
So let me give you a little bit of background. So Problematic Women started, I think it's about 8 years ago, at the Heritage Foundation. Now it's fully a Daily Signal property. But the idea was, back when Trump was running for office the first go around, I think it was Cosmo or Vanity Fair called Republican Women Problematic for supporting Trump, standing for conservative values. And so we just kind of leaned into it and ran with it. We were like, yes, okay, we are problematic. And here's why. But guess what? I think, we were both, we'll get to this, but we were both at Charlie's memorial service on Sunday. And I could not help but sit there and just think, there was a moment after the last election where conservatism was the new counterculture.
Yeah.
I don't think we are just the counterculture anymore. I think we are becoming the mainstream culture. But with that, I'd love to just hear a little bit more about your story, stepping away from a huge career at ESPN.
Yeah.
What led to that?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
That's a big question. I'll say that in hindsight, it was really a long journey. It felt like very sudden and oh my gosh, because that's what happens when you say one thing that blows up, when other things along the way maybe could have. You think back and you're like, why didn't they care about that, but they care about this?
Yeah.
I actually think a turning point for me was in 2016 when President Trump was elected, and just to see the hate and the really ugly rhetoric from people, in particular bosses at ESPN, who had told us we weren't allowed to talk about politics at all, and they got on social media and were spewing hatred, and I was just confused.
Yeah, there's a double standard here.
Yeah, and I am a rule follower. Like I'm getting better at not being a pleaser, which is a terrible disease to have.
Yeah, we could go on and on about that forever.
So we need to. That is a problem for us women. Problematic. Yes.
Yes.
And so, anyway, I look back to that time where it just got confusing, but I stayed in my lane. Okay, I'm still going to follow the rules, even though they're not. And then here and there I would make a remark that was not intended to stir the pot, I promise you. But I realized the more word got out that I leaned more conservative, the more I was looked at differently, and then things were blown up more than I thought they should have been. So 16 to 20 was interesting. Stayed silent, follow the rules. And then in 2020, the world changed, for everybody.
Yeah.
No matter what side of the aisle you're on, it changed for all of us.
Yeah.
For me, I just didn't want to be forced to take a vaccine to keep my job. And that's, working for the Walt Disney Company, that's what I had to do. People don't realize ESPN and ABC are both owned by Disney. Yeah. So we had a deadline of September 30th, 2021. Gosh, we're almost there again, aren't we? To get it or you're fired. And so I had a lot to think about and consider, and I was on the verge of not doing it and walking away. But like millions of people, I needed my job, and I love my job.
They bullied.
They did.
Many people.
They did.
Many Americans into that. Did it feel like you had no choice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because I had my agents and other people, just friends, were like, just say that you have, you need a religious exemption or a medical exemption. And I thought, yeah, but that's not true. It's just wrong.
Yeah.
Period. Why do I need to make up a lie?
Have some justifiable excuse or whatever it might be.
That's just wrong. And then they're like, get a fake vax card. And I was tempted. I was very close. I researched it.
Yeah.
But then I was afraid because I'm a rule follower and I don't want to get caught.
Yeah.
And then I knew that they knew that I really didn't want to do it. So I thought they'd really double and triple check me. I was scared. So I prayed about it a lot. The night before I was scheduled to get it. And went ahead with it. I got some incredible signs. God winks, I think, that told me that it was going to be okay. And I was recently divorced and 3 kids in high school and college. I just knew I needed that job, and I wasn't confident that I could pay those bills.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that moment changed me when I was sitting there at a grocery store pharmacy with some sweetheart of a woman putting that needle in me.
Yeah.
And even she acknowledged that it was wrong. She apologized to me as she did it. Like, it was a real moment. So I'm grateful for it because I didn't realize it then, but something in me changed. And like a flame was lit, a fire, not just a flame, a huge, big fire.
I love it.
But I didn't realize it at the time, but I can look back now and feel the anger again. And I complied, and then that day actually went home and got on a podcast. Off day, separate podcast with a former NFL player, Jay Cutler, and he asked about the Band-Aid on my shoulder, and I said, I think it's sick and wrong for any employer to force their employees to do something to their body. I said, but I have a job that I love and need, and Disney's a global company, so here we are. I complied, but because I had an opinion about it, that's when I got suspended and punished, and that was kind of the beginning of the end of the beginning.
Beginning of the end of the beginning. And so from there, how long did it take for you to pivot into jumping into having the Sage Steele show?
Oh gosh.
What's that?
Long time.
What did that look like?
Long time, because that was September of 2021, beginning of October. And I got suspended and then continuously punished. They took assignments away from me for many months. And then, I mean, this is the important part. I filed a lawsuit against Disney only because they punished me for my views. Things I said off camera, separating my opinions from my employers, which is important.
Yeah.
But then allowed my coworkers to give their opinions on ESPN airwaves about things that had nothing to do with sports, abortion, LGBTQ rights, etc., on a football or a basketball show. So the hypocrisy is what my issue was, and that's why, and why I was continuously punished. That's why I went and filed the lawsuit, and that was probably one of the scariest decisions of my life, because I knew that once I filed that lawsuit, I wasn't going to be coming back.
It was over.
Yeah, I mean, I had a contract though, so for the next 16 months from the day
So
the
you
lawsuit.
had to keep working through the lawsuit?
Yeah,
Did they keep you on air?
yeah. They had no choice.
That is wild.
I know.
Did you, amongst your colleagues?
It wasn't pretty.
No.
No.
Were there any sympathizers?
Yes, there were a couple supporters
That's encouraging.
who were afraid to say anything because they were a white male. No white women. There were no white women there, but there were white men. And others, you know, there was some diversity in the groups of people who, you know, kind of had my back, but quietly.
Yeah.
You know,
Certainly
a
not
whisper.
on camera.
No, and I don't
certainly
blame
not
them.
publicly at all.
No, I don't blame them.
Yeah.
The ones that chose to end our friendship over it, that part still stings, I'll admit to you. But to this day, the number of people from there and elsewhere that have said things to me, oh gosh, like it became a lot bigger than me. When I had to go to work every day after filing that lawsuit and compartmentalizing, knowing that Bob Iger, everybody on down, was like probably throwing darts at me every single day.
Like working against you, essentially.
Oh, yeah. But I had a 2-hour live show on national TV every day to do. So I would walk in, I'd say a prayer before I went in with my parents in the car, and I'd put that fear, like I probably was at my thinnest at that time, very unhealthy. I didn't realize it, but it was like this fear every day of going in. But then I got to perform, and I loved my job. Like I didn't want to leave it, but I knew I had to stand up. So that was an interesting 16 months, and I look back on that too, like, oh my gosh, how did I do that? But I guess I got really good at compartmentalizing.
I was just thinking that, like high-performing women especially. Like you become an expert at compartmentalizing, but then you might hit a breaking point. I've experienced this. You hit like some kind of breaking point, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But I look back and I thought, I really did my best work during that time too. So I think that anger from that day, where the shot went in my arm, and then seeing them treat others differently just because their opinions aligned with Disney's, that broke me after having been there for, I mean, when I left, it was 16 and a half years. But thank goodness, like so much good has happened in my life since then. I never thought I wanted my own show. I was used to network and, you know, perfect production and all the lights and cameras and, you know, highly produced things and, you know, going in and, I mean, crushing my shows, and we wrote all of our scripts and the highlights, and we were very hands-on at ESPN compared to many other networks that write stuff for you. And I loved that pressure. And I was like, but I could go home and start over the next day because there are producers who put the rundown in. With this, it's all me. It's not a daily show. It's not live. But to have it yours, I mean, I own my own business all of a sudden. And I'm like, I don't know if I like this. But that's what it takes.
It's a lot,
Yeah, but professionally, personally, in every way, my life has changed, and I shudder at the thought of what would have happened had I stayed quiet. It's been the biggest blessing.
And it's amazing too how that righteous anger can fuel you and get you you know, to where you are now, which is wildly successful. Your podcast is amazing and everyone loves it. And like, especially like I played sports in college as well. And so it's just fun to see other women who were, you know, have athletic backgrounds to get involved in this space too, especially on the culture side, right? Like I was really hopeful that the men and women's locker rooms, the boys playing girls sports conversation was done.
I know.
Especially after President Trump signed the executive order, like there's 2 genders, no boys and girls locker rooms, it's done. Like, I was like, great, thank God, now we can move on to other things. But that's not the case.
There.
It's still
Which
there.
is crazy.
Insane.
Which is crazy because all the people who are pushing that lie that men can become women are the ones that preach, right? Mm-hmm. And say that they uplift women and women this and women that, and then they are full of it, as we now know. But it's been really cool to see more and more people come forward. Do we need more? Yes. Like this is the most basic thing. There's other issues. Okay, you can have controversial, different opinions on immigration and abortion. I mean, there's a lot of issues. Okay, fine, to each his own. That is actually, they tell us to believe the science. That's what the phrase was back in 2020 and 2021, right? Yeah. From the beginning of time, we know that there are 2 genders.
Science.
Yes,
this is nature.
Yeah. You know, I'm just grateful that my kids were older when this happened because I would have been I would have been arrested. I would have been that
been at the school board meetings.
Crazy mother.
Yes.
Oh yeah, they would have had to drag me out. But it is just stupidity, and it makes me sad that so many people, a lot of women have continued this lie. Yeah. And so hey, that's okay. There's enough of us strong women out there and men who are now realizing if you stay silent, you are complicit in this. And I firmly believe that. Now we have a responsibility. It's dangerous.
Yes. So it would be wrong to not mention that this righteous anger that you've touched on and how COVID and that whole era was a huge turning point for you. I think especially culturally after Charlie's assassination a couple of weeks ago, we're faced with another moment in time where truth is being spoken more loudly than ever. And it's really afforded us, it sounds so transactional, as I first met Charlie in 2014, so it's just weird to even say this, right? That it's like, oh, we have an opportunity. Yeah. And as conservatives, whether you're center or right, whatever it is, to just speak truth. And I think it's been really heartening to see how not just Americans, but the world over have responded to his assassination. And one thing that I noticed this morning, I was like doom scrolling on Instagram, as one does, and I saw a reel from the Savannah Bananas.
Oh, really?
Just kind of tying it back into sports, but I was like, this is so cool. I mean, we saw multiple NFL teams, other professional sports teams take a knee, hold a moment of silence for Charlie. I see the Savannah Bananas posting dances to like worship music now. Do you think that this is a big enough turning point, if you will?
Yes.
Do you think we're there?
I do.
Yeah.
If not now, when? It has been beautiful. I'm so glad that you were there in Phoenix as well on Sunday, and I didn't know him as well as you did, apparently, and he inspired me. I was humbled when I was around him, and also embarrassed a little because I realized I had taken too long to speak up and what courage he had, and I felt humbled also because, I mean, he's so much smarter than I could ever dream of being, and I always learned something around him in person, but then certainly watching all the clips that everybody has. How about that stadium on Sunday? I've been to so many
chills,
stadiums.
like literally right now, just sitting here
thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
I've been to so many stadiums, so many events, the biggest in the world almost, and I've never felt anything like that. I also grew up Catholic and pretty conservative as far as speaking about my faith. We don't sit in Catholic church, we just don't do that.
Yeah.
That was me. And I was like this with
hands are raised, crying.
Yes.
Like, I was like, why did I even wear any makeup? This is worthless.
The music was incredible to hear 80,000 people. And then they had thousands outside, and then the other stadium rented next door as well. And then over 100 million people streaming live, and the people... I'll never forget it. I remember thinking, okay, Phoenix, not on the way anywhere for me this week, and it's going to be tough. And I'm so grateful that I went to be part of it and to feel it, because as awesome as it was for the millions of people watching across the world, it's indescribable.
There's no words to describe the energy in that stadium.
Yes. And the kindness. And this is, I'm going to keep using this example because it was striking to me in the 2.5-hour drive it took to go 14 miles to go from downtown Phoenix to Glendale to the stadium.
Yeah.
Our driver even said, I've done all 3 Super Bowls here, 20 some years. Never has it taken this long. And he's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Not one horn was honking, not one middle finger. Like everyone was so kind and patient. Everybody, the drivers who came from across the country, very few were from right there in Phoenix.
Yeah.
The security people, everybody working. I thought mass chaos, considering we had pretty much the most powerful people in America / the world.
Nearly the
in one
entire
building.
cabinet.
Yes, it was actually, I was like, this is a problem.
Yeah.
My kids were scared, like, Mom, please don't go, because of that. Understandably so, after all that we have seen. I know I keep trying to come up with a different phrase besides turning point, but Charlie would love it.
He would.
Wouldn't he love that we're using that at this moment because of what's happened to him? The grace that Erika has shown, that moment when she said, I forgive you. I mean, the whole place, men, women sobbing.
Just wept.
And the number of people that I've had coming up to me in airports and restaurants since he died, talking about God, talking about their faith, talking about how they want to go back to church and learn more and understand more and open their Bibles. It is, I know he's smiling right now. Obviously, what has happened to his wife and his children is incomprehensible. And thank God they have the faith they do, because that's the only way they survive. And I believe will thrive.
Yeah. And they have, I mean, the Turning Point team is just incredible.
And they got to hire more people now.
They do.
Because of all the requests.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That has been so encouraging to see also. You know, they went from 900 college chapters to thousands and thousands of requests for them. Like, it's
Charlie's
fantastic.
dream of having it in every high school in America
will be fulfilled.
Yes.
It's all but done.
We'll see what happens in California and Minnesota. But for the states that we like, I'm kidding.
No.
We like everybody.
It is. I don't know what the highlight was for you, but you just mentioned something about your faith and not talking about it as publicly. And what really struck me about Vice President J.D. Vance's speech was he said essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
He was like, he's Catholic. He's like, I've talked about my faith, but I used to be shy. I wasn't very straightforward with it, didn't lead with it. It was always there. He said, in the last 2 weeks, I've spoken more publicly about my faith than in my entire career.
That was a great line. Yes.
And I was like, that is fantastic, and we need more of that.
It's so true.
Right?
To not have fear of being judged for it. Listen, there's a lot of good that comes from not caring anymore, not caring what people think. I always tell people, my kids who are 19, 21, 23, young people, older people, especially us women and with social media, et cetera, like the biggest blessing, the biggest change in my life from cancellation, et cetera, has been that I no longer care what people think. And when you are okay being disliked, it opens up all kinds of crazy doors. And that includes, for me, faith. Now, I have a long way to go. Like, all these people who can quote scripture, it's just not how I grew up. Yeah. And I have different ways of practicing, but I'm trying to expand that now. Yeah. And the way that Erika certainly has done it.
Talk about leading by example.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I can't even fathom.
And I don't know. She's so brilliant, as you know, and I do think she feels it. She knows. She knows the impact she is having. With zero time right now to even grieve. The world is watching. She had to step right into the CEO role. But you talk about, problematic women. She is a problem.
She is now the problematic woman for the left.
Right.
And I love it.
When I had her on my show at AmFest last year, one of the things she talked about that, she got a lot of crap for, I had asked her the question about Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, and how he got blown up and criticized so much for talking about women. And, the most noble role is that of a mother, and staying home and being there and being submissive to your spouse in the definition of the word that we all understand. It doesn't mean you sit there and go, okay.
She said it so great in her speech on Sunday.
She said
you
it again.
are not your husband's slave.
Correct.
You are his helper.
Yes, and that's what when she and I sat down and she said it to me so clearly, I want to be there for Charlie. I want when he comes home, he can relax and have a meal and sit with me and sit with our children. I want to provide that from him. Like our family wins when I do that. Why is that so bad? And I think that for her to share it the way that she did in front of hundreds of millions of people, because I think there's so many women like us who have careers and are strong and we don't put up with anything. And I want to be that person for my husband.
It's not a this or that. It's a yes and.
We can say and. Perfectly said. You said it better than I did. And so now, how cool that young women get to hear it this way from Erika and from so many others. Because now, along with her, we have to keep doing this. We have to keep speaking up. Otherwise, I think we've been right on the edge. I said that at the election last November too. Like we were this close to disaster from which I don't know that we would have been able to come back. And now this is another version of that where
and not
where
only
we
do
can
we have to
save
hold
women.
our ground, we need to expand what we have.
We need to. And she spoke to men as well, right? We both have so much to work on. And I don't know, I'm up for the challenge.
I love it. So we were talking a little bit about this before we hit record, which is a few weeks ago. Honestly, the week Charlie was assassinated, that Monday, I was listening to Glenn Beck, and he was talking about this new polling that came out. And essentially, the long short of it is young men are trending more conservative. Young women trending more liberal. Not necessarily anything we didn't know, but what was striking was that neither group is necessarily loyal to one party or cause or another. And so these are people who, President Trump comes in and says, we're going to solve the housing crisis, especially for young people, right? Millennials, Gen Z, they're like, how are we going to do this? What is the American dream? That's a foreign concept to me. So they feel kind of hopeless in that sense. And so whether it's Trump or Mamdani, whoever comes in and says, I have a solution for housing and affordability and your gas, groceries, and your rent, those people will flock to that personality. But what struck me is, I think it was Tyler Boyer that posted this, something along the lines of Charlie Kirk led the young men of America. He really, truly did. And even more so now after everything that's happened. Erika Kirk is now here to lead the young women, which I thought was so striking. And I was very encouraged by that because I think she's up to the task.
I do too.
And I think she can speak to both young men and young women. But we have this dichotomy, especially between young men and young women, where we probably need to do a little bit more work on the young women. And how can we pour into them? What are the issues that we need to be talking to young women about to help them understand the truth that is the left does not want you to succeed.
Right.
They just want control over you.
Well, I think Erika is an incredible spokesperson. Again, not anything she would have signed up for, certainly not in this way, but I know she believes in, her faith is obviously evident, and the journey to get there. The example of Erika, the example of Riley Gaines, who just turned 25 years old and having a baby as we speak.
Another lead by example kind of person.
Yes, who it would have been easier to stay silent. It would have been easier to just talk about the sports aspect of it. Now she's gone next level while celebrating marriage, while celebrating becoming a new mom and having a career. I think one of the problems is that there have not been nearly enough women saying that that's okay and that it is okay to want to be a wife and to want to be home. Look at who our examples have been. I don't even need to name them because I don't like to speak their names quite often. And on the other hand, with men, that those statistics don't really surprise me, especially considering how much men have been bashed over the last several years by the left and white men in particular, but all men. And Erika talked about it on Sunday as well in Phoenix, and wanting to remind men of their role and how important they are to lead our families. We have emasculated them in so many ways, and quite often it isn't just women who are doing that, but men were doing that as well. So it's about who is willing to step up. We need more men to continue to do that and to have those tough conversations with their sons. This is what you do. This is how you treat a woman. And don't just tell them, but are you living it? Are you showing that young man?
Give them a good example.
Yeah, you have to, because all this actually doesn't really add up or matter. And the same thing with our daughters, I have two daughters, they're 23 and 19, and then my son's in the middle.
Oh my gosh.
And the conversations that I've had with them, I just got married again for the second time. And that, it's been a journey. I never thought I would be a bride again at 52. Like, it's not, I never thought I'd be divorced.
Yeah.
And then I realized, and I'm not making it about me, it's just an example of like, I realized that it's not just what I'm telling my girls, it's what I'm showing them. And my daughters right now get to witness a man treating their mother with such love that like I've never felt or experienced. And so it is such a gift to me, but it's a gift to them. And I know now their bar is here.
Oh yeah.
And my son is getting a beautiful example as well. So everybody wins when we don't just preach, but we practice.
Yeah.
President Trump has done a great job. I think, look at J.D. Vance. Look at Vivek Ramaswamy.
Yeah.
So many people in the administration. Look at Caroline Leavitt at 27, 28 years old.
Killing it.
So
like, she is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this administration, I think, has covered all the bases brilliantly. I'm excited for the future because of that. And I will never lose the hope in our women. But the examples that we've given them in the past, I'm not even going to mention all the politicians and the Kamala Harris and the Hillary Clintons I just did. Sorry. But the Kardashians on the other side, where we make it just about the physicality and sex and money and materialistic things.
Yeah.
So there is a revival in so many different ways. And I'm excited to see, like, we get to say we're a part of history. Because we're not going to sit back and accept it anymore. And if we do, silence is compliance. That's what we used in 2020.
Oh my gosh.
It's 100%
That's the message right there.
No, we can no longer afford to do it. Shame on us.
Silence is compliance. That is, can I ask you something that's kind of raw?
Yeah.
I've talked about this a little bit before on the show, especially as it pertains to female role models in the workplace. And this, I've only ever worked in the political or the policy industry, so maybe this is just my lived experience, but so many of the women that I looked up to as potential mentors almost treated it as they climbed the ladder, they duked it out with the boys.
Yep.
They were a woman in a boys club, cool, totally get it. But then when they had the opportunity to turn around and maybe help mentor other young women in the same industry, they kind of kicked the ladder out from under them. And that has always frustrated me so much because, especially in the political world, it is the boys' club for the most part.
For sure.
But there are so many opportunities. I look at at Heritage, we have 160 something interns come through every year, and there's a majority of them are women, and I love that. And I always try to like find a couple that I can lean into and be like, stay in the industry, you can do this.
Thank you for
doing that. Because there's not a lot of female mentorship opportunities in this industry, but I think we're kind of at a turning point on that too, especially now with strong women like yourself, like Riley, like Caroline Leavitt, stepping into their roles fully.
Big time.
Bringing their kids into the Oval Office.
Yeah.
Having their families be part of their work.
Yeah.
And it's not, again, back to the yes and.
Yes.
It's not, you don't have to divorce your real life from your work life. And I think that's huge.
That was one of the most disappointing parts of my TV career. Local, regional, national.
Same thing.
Not one woman.
Yeah.
Not one.
That's
the people who
charge.
uplifted me were men. Like, my mentors were men.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, when you look at the numbers, I mean, there were many more men that I worked with. It's a boys' fine. But, once I got, especially to ESPN, there were a lot more women. And the day I got there, it was very clear. They had no interest in helping. And I don't fully fault them because of the way it was almost like, the bosses who were 99% men set us up to do this,
There's no incentive for women to pour into each other in the workplace.
Not when there's so few spots. Now, that has changed incredibly. I mean, just since I was at ESPN from 2007 until 2023, like the number of women that are doing things and doing all roles now has completely turned, and that's great. We love that. I just always used to be dumbfounded by it, and I thought, we all have contracts. Like, we have guaranteed jobs. And if not guaranteed jobs, guaranteed paychecks, even if they fire us. There's room for all of us. Like, we're all here for a reason. We all have a role. And it broke my heart, especially as a young mom, trying to balance that.
It's a lot.
It was, yeah. And so I remember at one point saying, okay, I don't want any other women that come here to feel the way I did. And so then when other women came, I tried. It wasn't always received. Not everybody took me up on it, and that's fine because they felt threatened too. And they're like, "Is she really serious?" And you know, I get it.
Yeah.
But I just remember being like, "I don't want to do this alone. I want girlfriends. I mean, and I was married with young kids. I'm like, no, I don't want to hang out with guys. I want to hang out with girls."
Yeah.
And it's inexcusable. And then that's the thing I tell young women all the time, especially on college campuses. Like, everyone complains about the glass ceiling and men not welcoming women into the. Look in the mirror. What are you doing for each other?
Start with yourself.
Start with yourself. You know what it's like to be that girl, that young woman, that older woman who's maybe close to aging out. You know what it's like to be in those positions, and you're still doing it. So don't complain about the men until you help each other first. And I think we have to call women on that.
Yes. And it costs nothing.
No.
It doesn't cost you anything.
Especially because we know what it feels like to be alone, to be scared, to be nervous.
And for whatever
overcompensate.
reason, yes. And for whatever reason, unlike men, we take it a lot more personally.
Of course.
It's like, just step into the gap.
Yeah, it's like our emotions and sensitivity and empathy for others is what makes us great.
Yeah.
And it can work the opposite direction as well.
Yeah. Okay, well, I know we have so much going on here while we're at Heritage Strategy Forum, but you were teasing a little bit before kind of what's next for Sage Steele, especially, you know, coming out of this just incredible experience on Sunday, celebrating Charlie's life and seeing so many people from the movement that I hadn't seen in probably a decade. I felt really inspired and like, I want to double down on the work I'm doing. But I'm curious, what's going on with you in your world? What's next?
Such a great question, because I ask myself that every day. You know, I'll admit to something that I've struggled with first, because for my whole life, I thrived in structure from obviously TV. And when you are going on live national TV at
Every
12
second
o'clock
is
Eastern
programmed.
time, like not 12:0002, like you have to be there or you don't have a job. And then as a child, I grew up with a military father who was the kindest soul, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I do this?
Now it's on you to set
I
the
don't
structure.
like it. I need people to like yell at me. Yeah. So I'm actually really having to work very hard to create that on my own and follow through it. I'm not doing a great job of it. I'm doing well enough. I fake it really well. But so with the show and to keep it going and growing, but not being afraid to give my opinion more, because my show is very much about my guest. That's my passion. I want to know your why. I want to know, okay, so I might know you, RFK Jr., who I had in my chair one time a year ago. And then I didn't really care about why he was running for president as much. I wanted to know about like what got him there. And then he went on for 15 minutes about his heroin addiction and how he got into that. Like, that's what I want to know.
Real.
Yes. Tell me your story.
Yeah.
Tell me your why. And I love that. And that's why sometimes they're 2 or 3 hours long.
Yeah.
I'm like, just take a couple days, charge your AirPods, guys, and just listen, because you learn so much. But it's the letting go of the fear of giving my opinion.
How are you putting that into practice?
Well, by doing these directed cameras that I hate, but I'm doing it because every time I do it, I get feedback that is like, yes, please more. Go, speak more on that. Even though I was so scared to do it, whether it's about my faith, whether it's about parenting, whatever it is. And so I preach this, and I've come such a long way in being okay being disliked. But it's also, as a journalist, the story was never about me. It never was supposed to be. So I'm having to, that's my biggest challenge right now, is to be okay in moments. Because I realized God gave me this platform that I could never have imagined. Are you kidding me? It was a dream to get to ESPN and SportsCenter. I didn't know I'd stay there for so long and do things well beyond SportsCenter. And then after, when I thought it was over, now it's back in a completely different way. I never wanted to talk politics. Oh my gosh, why would anyone do that?
Who wants to?
Yeah. And so now here I am about things that I actually really care about. So for some reason, I have been given this. Have I worked hard? Absolutely, yes. But it's been maintained. And so instead of asking, like, well, why? It's like, just do it. And some things aren't going to stick. Some things aren't going to do well, and other things really will. But I'm also, in doing so, falling on my face, getting back up. I've gotten pretty good at that, about success after failure, a lot of failure.
I love to say fail fast, fail forward.
Yes. Okay, can I steal that?
Steal it.
Take that.
You can have it.
Again,
but we're all going to fail.
We are.
It's inevitable.
But when you choose to put it out there on a public level, it's different, and it can be costly.
Scary.
I've experienced it in other ways from my previous career in life, and then this way as well. But look, that's one of my kids calling me right now, probably saying, "Mom, why did you say that too?" Because I get, look, there we go, because they get mad at me. But that's the whole point of it. Is like, I can't preach this to them, to speak up and stand tall and give your opinion, do it in a kind way, but then not do it
if you're not willing to do it yourself.
Yes. And we've had some tough conversations. We really have, because sometimes my words have affected them. And I've apologized for that and said, you don't ever have to defend me. But what you do have to say is we all have a right to our opinion, and diversity of thought is what we should be leading with. So now I have to really practice it out of that journalistic mode. And put it out there. And who knows, I have this dream of going on tour with some friends of mine.
Okay.
And just to have conversations like Charlie Kirk was. Now, I'll never win a debate. I am a terrible debater. I'm the person that would like go back and forth and then 5 minutes later I'd be like, oh wait, can we go back to that? Because now I remember what I wanted to say. So, okay, stay in your lane, Sage. That's not but conversations, I'm good at that. And encouraging others to do the same. So I don't know, like Megyn Kelly, a lot of people do it. My good friend Dave Rubin, he goes on tour all the time. And I'm like, who wants to listen to me? I think when two strong women, problematic women, come together, 2, 3, 4, with men too. Like Charlie taught us the way to do it, how to do it. And so what a waste if we don't try. So that's the next. I need you to hold me to that. And then when I see you,
I can hold you accountable.
Yeah, you can yell at me. You can call me out.
Like, Sage, keep failing fast, keep failing forward. We've got work to do.
Trademark that.
We do. Okay. I feel like that's probably already taken. But thank you so much. Where can we follow you? Something I said on the show last week after, everything, was there's so many women, young men, men of all ages, tuning into the conservative movement, probably for the first time, or maybe for the first time in a long time. Same thing with our faith, right? But it's on us as content creators, as podcast hosts, as a news organization, to keep providing great content. And my challenge to those of us that have been in the movement for a long time was kind of like we talked about, lean in, be that mentor, help people understand what it is we stand for and why we fight for the things that we do. But for new people, or coming back to politics for the first time in a long time, keep consuming great content. Learn everything you can. Listen to the Charlie Kirk show. Go back in the archives. Watch your show. Listen to the Daily Signal stuff. How do we follow what you're doing? I know Sage Steele show, we've said it 100 times.
On YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Thank you.
There we go.
Like and subscribe. I'm getting better at asking for that. Listen, I do think, obviously, social media is not going anywhere. And the key is to consume a lot of it. Not a lot of it per se, but a lot of different kinds. And because we have to know what our friends on the other side are saying. We have to. The difference is how we choose to communicate it. In public, in person, online, on social media platforms. And, I'll go back to what we saw in Phoenix. And there was such peace, and there was such kindness, and so many people coming together. There were no riots. No one was throwing things. No one was burning down cities or looting. Pretty black and white to me.
The image is very clear.
Wrong. It is very, very clear. And we need to continue to remind people, not to pat ourselves on the back, but just show the difference. And because there's a lot of people that are going to disagree with many of the things we're saying, but how do we handle it? Do we scream and yell? I mean, I can tell you I'd like to at times, and that some of the words that I say inside my head, I'm not going to let out.
You filter them.
We filter, but consume that content, have the conversations. I have a woman who's a former athlete who comes at me at least once a week. And I usually ignore it now. But even today, I was in the airport and I wrote back and I was like, I'm glad that you feel that you can vent to me. Just know that I'm not going to engage in this. I so respect you, but I'm not going to engage because you're being ugly right now. And every time she comes back and she's like, I'm sorry. And every time, but then she keeps looking. So that's a win, right? Because I know that she's curious.
She's seeking
and
out.
She's seeing me not attack anyone else. You know what I mean? Well, you've got to lead by example. So all the platforms,
Love it.
And also just continuing to share. I think it's important to do things that aren't in your demographic. Facebook's demographic is very different from like the demographic that is TikTok, right?
Yes.
And I tell my girls and my son too, I'm like, you guys go on that too. They're like, ew. I'm like, no, trust me.
Like, okay, boomer, I don't want to go on Facebook.
I'm like, am I old? Yes, I'm paying your bills, so just do it. But like, it's so important to be diverse with what we're consuming. And so, yeah, I appreciate it. And I want to continue to, not everybody says yes to come on my show. There's a lot of people who say no. People who agree with me. Athletes who are out there and they're like, I can't do it yet, Sage. So I'll end on that because actually anyone who watches this who has a platform, if you are not using it, shame.
Shame on you.
Change that. Change that. You don't have to be ugly and divisive and cut other people down, but you have been given it for a reason. Many of the people with platforms are pretty financially secure, have made it and can have influence.
You can take that risk.
You can.
And guess what? You're living proof that the risk-reward ratio, most of the time, I feel like turns out in the positive. Like you can take that risk. Your life's not going to end. Your life's not going to be over.
Every time. When I said it earlier, professionally, more importantly, personally, my life has changed. If I had not done that, if I had not stood up at the scariest moment in my life, my life would be completely different. I would not have met the man that I just married. I would not have been on Trump Force One the night before the election going, what am I doing here? And realizing that I made a difference. And we were walking around Buncombe County, North Carolina, hurricane territory where they've been left behind by the previous administration, realizing I'm so glad I got to talk about football and basketball for 30 years. And now look, now I get to really make a difference. And it's such a blessing. But thank you for what, you've been doing this longer than me. No, you have.
No.
Longer than me. So thank you for leading the way.
We all have a part to play.
Yes, we do.
Sage
Play it.
Thank you so much for joining Problematic
Wait, what
Women.
is it? Future, fall forward, future?
Fail fast, fail forward. So I was like, future fall.
Fail fast, fail forward.
But thank you so much for being here.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you and your voice. Follow the Sage Steele Show, X,
YouTube,
Twitter,
Instagram,
YouTube,
Facebook.
Instagram, all the things. Sage Steele
Thank
with an
you.
E at the end.
Yes, please.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
See you soon.